Okay, Bruchim Haba, and welcome everyone. We're approaching the Yom Tov of Shavuos, and we would like to discuss a very important mitzvah in the Torah, actually the most important mitzvah in the Torah, and that is what our sages teach us, what our Chazal teach us, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam, that learning Torah is the equivalent of all the mitzvahs in the Torah. And for many people, when they think about the Yom Tov of Shavuos, the first thing that comes to mind is the well-known Minogue Israel, the custom of eating dairy, cheesecake, milchiks, dairy products. And like all Minhage Yisrael, like all Jewish customs, there are many reasons and explanations given for this minhag of eating dairy on Shavuos. Many of the reasons are quite well known, but it's interesting to point out that the earliest documented reason for the custom of eating dairy on Shavuos is not so well known, and it comes from a sefer of one of the Rishonim, the Cobo. The Cobo, we don't know exactly who wrote the Cobo, but we know for sure it was written in the times of the Rishonim. Says the Cobo, there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, in the Song of Songs, written by Shlomo HaMelech. In Perek Daled, pasuk Yod Aleph, the pasuk says like this. Shlomo HaMelech is speaking, he's talking about the sweetness of the Torah, and he says about the Torah, Devash v'chalav tachas l'shonech. He says about the Torah, you are so sweet. Sweetness flows from you. It's like honey and milk under your tongue. You know, the taste of honey is a delicious taste. Milk is very sweet. But the combination of these two tastes, milk and honey, produces an unparalleled treat. Says Shlomo HaMelech, Torah is so delectable. It's so sweet. Nothing could match the sweetness of Torah. It's not only like honey. It's not only like milk. It's the combination of the two flavors. It's devash v'chalav tachas l'shonech, says the Cobo. Therefore, on the Yom Tov of Shavuos, the Yom Tov that we celebrate the giving of the Torah, we partake of milk, we partake of honey to indicate and to emphasize the idea that Torah is so delicious to us. And this is a very fundamental attitude that a Jew should develop and engender to the Torah. Because yes, Torah requires great effort and great concentration and great exertion. Torah requires amelut, toil, and that is certain. But on the other hand, Torah is so sweet, it's so delicious, it's like milk and honey. It's mesukim midvash v'nofes tzufim. It provides a Jew with such satisfaction, such happiness. We know we're not allowed to study Torah on Tisha B'Av, the day of tragedy, the day of mourning. Why don't we study Torah on Tisha B'Av? Because Pikudei Hashem Yisharim Mesamchei Leiv. The Torah is so delicious and delectable and gives us so much happiness and satisfaction that we have to avoid it on a day of mourning. Before we learn Torah every morning, we make a blessing. And if you would ask most Jews, what type of blessing are we making over the Torah? Everybody would say, what do you mean, what kind of blessing? The same type of blessing we make whenever we do a mitzvah. We blow shofar, we make a blessing. We shake a lulav and esrog, we make a blessing. Anytime we do a mitzvah, we always make a blessing. But actually, in halacha, there are two types of brachos. You have something called berachas ha-mitzvos, a blessing you make before you do a mitzvah, like on a shofar, like on a lulav. Whenever we do a mitzvah, we make a bracha. And then, of course, we have something called berchas hanehenen, a blessing on pleasure. You eat a piece of pizza, you make a blessing. You drink a cup of milk, you make a blessing. You drink a cup of soda, you make a blessing. Berchas hanehenen. Asur la'adam lehanos ba'olam hazeh b'li bracha. We're not permitted to derive benefit in this world without thanking Hashem. And one would certainly think then that the blessing that we make in the morning, Berchas HaTorah, which the Gemara tells us is of biblical origin, is Berchas HaTorah Mida Oraisa. One would think the blessing over the Torah is a Berchas HaMitzvah, a blessing we make before we perform a mitzvah. And the Levush, Rav Mordechai Yafa, reveals to us an amazing concept, that in fact the blessing that we make over the Torah in the morning is a Berchas Hanehenen. It's a blessing of pleasure. In fact, he explains that the Gemara Nedarim tells us that the reason why Eretz Yisrael was devastated in the times of Churban Bayis Rishon, the Gemara says, Mipnei shelo berchu b'Torah betchila. They did not make Berchas HaTorah. And all the commentaries, all the Mefarshim are bothered. That's the reason? But Chazal tell us, and the Psukim in Yirmiyah say, that no one could really figure out what the Jewish people were doing wrong. It was not apparent. It was not obvious. Nobody could see any infraction, any lack on behalf of the Jewish people. So if the reason why Eretz Yisrael was devastated is because they didn't make Birchas HaTorah, that's something that anybody could see that the Jews would have been lax in. Why was this something that the Gemara tells us only God himself detected the lacking in the Jewish people? And the Levush reveals to us that what was lacking in the time of Churban Bayis Rishon was certainly they made a blessing over the Torah, but they didn't understand what we're about to learn. And that is, the blessings we make in the morning on the Torah are not Birchas HaMitzvah. It's not like a blessing over the shofar or a blessing over a lulav and esrog. They are Birchas HaNehenen. They're blessings of pleasure. You eat a piece of cake, you make a bracha, because you can't derive benefit from this world without thanking Hashem. And if you have a cup of ice-cold water, you have to thank Hashem. Well, if you partake of the Torah, you also have to thank Hashem, because there's no greater pleasure in this world than learning Torah. Not spiritual pleasure, physical pleasure. There's nothing that gives a person more happiness, more sipuk, more satisfaction than learning Torah. And that is why we make a blessing in the morning. So the Levush asks almost the incredible question that who could dare ask such a question? The Levush asks, well, if Torah is such a delight and such an enjoyment, and we make a blessing before we learn Torah, then why don't we make a blessing after we learn Torah? After you eat a piece of cake, you make an ala michya. After you eat bread, you make berachas hamazon. After you drink a cup of water, you make bar nefashos. Why don't we make a bracha when we finish learning? Bracha achrona. And he says, in fact, we do. The first blessing we make in the morning, v'harevna, baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, God, King of the universe, that you sanctified us with your mitzvos, and you commanded us to involve ourselves. La'asok b'divrei Torah. V'ha'arevno, we ask Hashem to make the learning sweet. You know what type of blessing this is? This is a bracha achrona on yesterday's learning. So you'll ask, well, there's a time frame that you can make a bracha achrona. You can't just eat food and then make bracha achrona the next day. There's a certain window of opportunity that a person is given to make a bracha achrona. So the Levush explains, that's why we ask Hashem. We want the sweetness of yesterday's learning to remain in our mouth now in the morning so that we can make a bracha achrona on yesterday's learning. And then we start the day, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'nasan lanu as Torah so, where we make a birchas hanenen on today's learning. The first thing we do in the morning is recognize and declare that, of course, learning Torah is a mitzvah of Hashem, but it's for me, it's for you, it's for us. It's for us not only to fulfill God's will, it's for us to derive enjoyment from, happiness from, satisfaction from. It's better than a piece of cake. It's the greatest birchas hanan, and it's the greatest hana. The story goes that Rav Shach, the great Rosh Hashiva of Panovich, once met the great philanthropist, the great millionaire Reichman, and he says to Reichman, we have this mutual relationship, says Rav Shach, and let me explain, where I am jealous of you, Reichman, but you should be jealous of me. And Reichman looked at him, what are you talking about? And Rav Shach said, let me explain. I'm jealous of you because look how many yeshivos you built. Look how many Mostos HaTorah you built. Look how many institutions of expanding Limud Torah you were responsible for. I am jealous of all the merits that you have, all the merits you have amassed in building Torah in Eretz Yisrael, in the United States of America, and all over the world. That's what I'm jealous of. And Reichman looks at Rav Shach, and he said, and Rav Shach, and why should I be jealous of you? Shach said, see, I'm jealous of your olam haba, of your world to come. But you should be jealous of my olam hazeh. You should be jealous of the happiness that I have in this world. You see, you're just a millionaire. How much happiness could you have? But I have the privilege to learn the Torah, to be involved in delving into the words of the Torah. That gives the neshama such happiness, such satisfaction, that there is nothing in this world that could give a person so much simcha. And that's what you should be jealous of. Let me share with you very briefly the eternal words, the evoking words of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh writes in Parshas Kisavo on the Pasuk, Parak Chavav, Pasuk Yud Aleph, V'samachta v'chol hatov. You should rejoice in all of the good. Says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, we know from Pirkei Avos, Ein tov ela Torah. You know what's really good? You know what's truly good? Only the Torah. Says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, She'im hayu b'nei Adam. If people would merely margishin, taste, b'mesikos va'arevos, the sweetness, the delectability of Toiv HaTorah, of the goodness of Torah, if people would just have a flavor and a taste of it, hayu mishtageim, they would become insane. Umislahatim achareha, they would run after it with fire. Vol yechashev ba'eineim, and it would not be of value in their eyes. Malay olam kesav ezav, the whole world of silver and gold, lima'uma, it would all be worthless. If a person would merely experience the joy of learning Torah, nothing in this world would have any meaning to them. Everything would be valueless, would be completely empty. So of course we're thinking to ourselves, really? I've learned Torah before. The answer is, it's an acquired taste. But once you appreciate the taste of the wine of Torah, once you appreciate the taste and you develop the taste, it's a taste that causes all over other happinesses and pleasures to pale in comparison. It's something which is so joyful to the neshama that this is the greatest happiness that the Jewish soul could experience in this world and in the entire universe. That is why, says Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev, the Gemara tells us that when it comes to other Jewish holidays, there's a great dispute in the Talmud and the Gemara. How do we celebrate a Yom Tov? Do we celebrate it spiritually, by involving ourselves in tefillah and in Torah? Or do we celebrate the Yom Tov physically, with a festive meal, with the Suda? And there's a machlokas. Some say, Kuloi Lashem, you have to dedicate the entire festival to God. Some say, Kuloi Lachem, to dedicate the entire festival for yourself, for your own enjoyment. Some say half and half, Chatzi Lachem, B'Chatzi Lashem. Says the Gemara, Hakol Moedim that be'atzeres ba'inan nami lachem. Everyone agrees, all opinions agree, that on the Yom Tov of Shavuos, you must celebrate physically. Why? Yom Shenitna B'Torah. It's the day the Torah was given. Very hard to understand this Gemara. If it's the day the Torah was given, then everyone should agree that you need to celebrate spiritually. After all, God gave us a spiritual gift. Why would everybody agree that on the Yom Tov of Shavuos you have to celebrate physically? And the answer is the limud that we're learning now. And that is, lest someone make the mistake, God gave us the Torah, that's only for Olam Haba. That's only for the spirit. No, everybody agrees that on the day the Torah was given, you have to celebrate physically, to teach and to enunciate and to declare that the Torah is for our physical happiness and our physical satisfaction and our physical joy and our physical simcha. And let's take advantage of the great gift that God gave us to increase our happiness in this world and our simcha in this world. It gives simcha to everything we do in life, and it will continue to give us simcha in the world to come when we're zocheh to be with Hashem, lehanot, miziv shchinato, to derive benefit from the splendor of God's Shekhinah. Thank you for listening. Bracha v'hatzlacha.